so I'm going to use the pen tool to mask here, but the pen tool can also be used for drawing. So the difference between the two is that if you have something selected, a layer selected, and then you get the pen tool and you start clicking, it's going to be a mask. If you don't have something selected and you start drawing, if you look up at your fill and your stroke properties, then you'll see that you'll get something very different. Okay, so it's going to create a shape layer that contains contents, and that immediate content that you're looking at is just the first shape that's been placed in there. Okay, so we're going to create a mask, and I'm going to use the pen tool. Okay, so when you use the pen tool, and G is the shortcut for pen, you're effectively using kind of two tools. You're using the pen tool and you're using the selection tool. So to start drawing, you just click anywhere, and you get your immediate, or your first vertex. And as you click along, you get more vertices that you can use for redefining the shape of your mask. Now, if you click without dragging, then you get these angular points. These are called corner points, and in terms of your spatial interpolation, these would be referred to as linear. If you have something that is straight and has corners, then that is exactly what you're going to want to be doing. Okay, so in this instance, you do want to be clicking as you go to create those linear corners. If, on the other hand, your object is a person or a person's clothes or something like that, then you are not going to want to be using corner points. In this instance, you're going to want to start creating smooth or Bezier points, and that is done, I'll just do basic ones first, by clicking and dragging. Now, for the most part, when you do a rotoscope, it's going to be a combination of both. So in this case, I'll start with my first vertex, I'll get to the next vertex, and I'll click and drag, and you'll see the control points pop out there for that Bezier point. So this is a vertex, and this is a line segment connecting two vertices. So by clicking and dragging, you get the control points, and then the next one that you click will complete that curve. Okay, so if you want a curve, then you're going to want to click and drag. Now, I just clicked here, so essentially what this is going to do is it's going to complete the curve, and then the next one that I click will complete a straight segment. Okay, so by clicking, even at the end of a curve, you're going to get one side of the vertex is going to be curved and one side is going to be straight, and then you can carry on with corners or points depending on what it is that you want to do. Now, if I was to be tracing a person such as this guy, then chances are what I'm going to be doing is, now this is very rough, I'm going to be just doing a series of clicks and drags. Okay, so you can see I'm just clicking and dragging as I go, and I'll go back then and I'll tidy that up later on. So I'll just finish off the guy's head, for example. Now, I might do a corner here because it's easier, and then do a click and drag. Okay, now you need to zoom in a good bit. Sometimes you won't get the pen tool because you're zoomed out and it doesn't realize that you're actually clicking away from a vertex, and it will think that you're just trying to click on the same vertex. So you need to zoom in, you get the pen tool back, click and drag, and then finish off the mask. Okay, so that's a rough mask there, but you can see that because the guy's head is completely curved, you know, all the way around, there's no straight parts, then you're going to be doing that click and drag, etc. Now I'm going to just undo or delete this mask and start again, just to show you other ways that you control these masks and Bezier lines. Okay, so I've just been drawing there. Now, in reality, when you're doing any kind of complex masking or rotoscoping or drawing even with the pen tool, it's going to be a combination of laying down points and then going back, moving a point, changing something about that point, and then carrying on as you go. Now, what I did there is I put down a few points, then I went back to a previous point, and I'm using point and vertex interchangeably here, by the way. When I go back to that point and select it, when I try and continue, then it's just assuming that I want to start a new mask. If you want to what's called pick up a path, which is what it refers to in Illustrator, then you want to select just the last point that you put down, and then when you go far enough away for the pen tool to pop up, it will continue that path. Okay, so you can even deselect a mask and then go back in, reselect it, and instead of just starting a new one, if you deselect and then reselect your last point, it will pick up that point. As I say, you can go back then, just by hovering over a vertex, it will allow you to click and move or adjust the control points to change the angle and direction of the curve. Now, so we're drawing and we're also modifying our path here. The other way that you'll modify a path is to add a vertex. So you can go in between, on a line segment, in between two vertices, and you can add a point. You can also hold down the command key, which normally gives you your move tool there. If you hover over a vertex and click on it, it will delete it. So you can add, subtract, and you can also convert a vertex. So if I, for instance, whoops, just zoom out a little bit. Now, instead of holding down command, you'll see that when you hover over a vertex, it gives you the selection tool, which allows you to move, modify, etc. Now, if I hold down the Alt key, you'll get this other little arrow, and that arrow is going to change it to a corner point, or change it back, depending. So if you're going on a corner point or linear vertex, then it's going to change it to a smooth. If you change it the opposite way, it will go from smooth to a corner point. Now you can click and drag to change it to a smooth point and also control the direction of those curves. Now, if you look at the control points here, what I'm doing is I'm modifying the direction of the curves, but I'm modifying the curves on both sides of the vertex simultaneously, which maintains this smooth S shape. Now, what you'll also find is that you want to separate these control points and have them moving independently of each other, and in that case you hold down Alt and hover over the end of the control point, and then you can click and drag that, and you can create two curves that move independently of each other. Okay, so this one might be of use to me if I was I'll just delete this mask. So this part here, so I might start a curve like this, move down the face a little bit, create a curve there, and then complete the curve around the folds of his t-shirt, then go back, select this, hold down Alt, and then pull that one that way and that one that way. And what that does then is it gives me that curving in this direction, but then curving back in the opposite direction. It's kind of hard to see on the screen there, but you'll see it a little bit more clearly on the video when it's output. That is essentially it. So just to recap, whoops, you start by laying down the path, and that can be curved or corner. You can go back and add by hovering over a vertex. You can move it by holding down Alt. You can convert it. You can modify the curve on both sides of the vertex, or only or on either side independently of each other. Now, it's just worth reiterating at this point that the quality of your mask and subsequently the quality or the accuracy of your rotoscope will make or break the entire effect. You can have all kinds of wonderful effects going on behind someone in a composite, but if it looks like they're just a series of corner jagged edges and it's not masked efficiently, then the entire illusion is broken, and that's the end of your rotoscope. Okay, so that should pretty much get you up to speed on the pen tool.